Okay, so we're going to dive into something that sounds, well, a little spooky. We're talking about ghost voters. And believe me, this isn't a campfire story. It has some seriously real consequences for democracies all over the world. Just think about this for a second. What if millions of the voters on the official lists just don't exist? I'm talking about names of people who've passed away, people who've moved, or maybe people who were never even real in the first place.
And that, right there, is the whole mystery of the ghost voter. Now, they're not actual ghosts, of course. They're just names on a voter list that absolutely shouldn't be there. Sometimes it's a simple mistake, an admin error, like forgetting to take someone's name off the list after they die. But it can also open the door for something way more intentional.
And honestly, that's the real kicker here. Think about it. The voter list is the foundation of an election, right? So when that foundation is shaky, or, well, polluted, it calls everything else into question. This isn't just some tech glitch. It makes people like you and me wonder if the whole system is even fair.
So to really see how this plays out in the real world, let's start our journey in Kenya. It's a fascinating case because they've really leaned into using technology to try and solve this exact problem.
And the scale of the problem there? It's just staggering. In their 2017 election, Kenya's own election commission found, get this, over 1 million ghost voters on their lists. 1 million. You can just imagine the fallout. Total public outcry, legal battles, the works.
So what did they do? Well, they went for a massive tech upgrade. They ditched the old-school paper lists, which, let's be real, are super easy to mess with, and brought in these high-tech biometric kits. We're talking fingerprint scanners, facial recognition, the whole 9 yards. It was a huge, huge leap forward. But here's the twist. You solve one problem, and sometimes a new one pops up. Activists started asking a really important question. What happens when the people in charge are the only ones who control this new digital system? Suddenly, the game changes. It's not about stopping paper fraud anymore. It's about whether you can actually trust the technology itself.
Okay, so let's jump over to Argentina now, because their approach is completely different. It's way less about fancy government tech and way more about, well, people power.
Yeah, they call it vigilante auditing, which sounds intense, but it's basically democracy crowdsourced. Citizens just got fed up with how slow the official process was for cleaning up the voter lists, especially out in rural areas. So, instead of just waiting around, they decided to do it themselves.
And the way they do it, it's actually brilliant in its simplicity. It's basically 3 steps. First, volunteers get their hands on the public voter lists. Then, they do the hard work of cross-referencing those names with public death records. And finally, anytime they find a mismatch, a ghost, they flag it and report it. It's just an amazing example of regular people forcing transparency.
So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. This happens in some places. But what about a country with a rock-solid, super trusted electoral system? Well, for our last stop, let's head to Germany, which has one of the most buttoned-up systems in the world. And guess what? Even there, they found problems. A 2021 review turned up more than 80,000 duplicate names. Now, this wasn't necessarily a sinister plot. A lot of it was just simple stuff, like people moving to a new city and forgetting to unregister from their old address.
But that's the key lesson from Germany, isn't it? No system is perfect. Ghost voters can pop up anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's because of a lack of resources or just a tiny administrative loophole. Every country on Earth struggles to keep its voter lists 100% clean. Okay, so we've been to Kenya, Argentina, Germany. What's the big picture here? What do we actually learned from this global fight to keep elections honest?
It really boils down to 3 big things. First, this is a universal problem. It hits wealthy nations and developing nations alike. Second, technology is a great tool, for sure, but it's not a silver bullet. We saw that in Kenya. And third, and maybe this is the most important one, the ultimate prize here is public trust. If people don't trust the system, the whole thing starts to crumble.
And that really gets to what's at stake. Because every single one of those fake names, those ghost voters, they have the potential to water down the vote of a real person, of you. Your vote is your voice, and we can't let it get drowned out by ghosts.
So that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. Thinking about what those citizen auditors did in Argentina, should every single country publish its voter list for everyone to see? It's a massive trade-off, right? Transparency versus privacy. And how we answer that, well, that could define the future of trust in elections everywhere.